The 2026 F1 title fight isn't as wide open as everyone thinks. Realistically, it's only a handful of drivers who can actually win. And yes, one fan favourite isn't on my list. I'll explain why in a minute. I rank these drivers by testing trends, team strength, how the 2026 regulations could shake up the grid, and personal traits that actually win championships. History shows the pattern never lies when change hits. The drivers and teams who adapt fastest dominate. That's the battlefield, and let's see who's built to conquer it. Number 6, Oscar Piastri. This might feel controversial, and let me be clear, putting Piastri 6th on this list is not a slight. It is a reflection of maths, not ability. The 24-year-old Australian is without question one of the most complete young drivers this sport has seen in years. He was Formula 2 champion in 2021. He won multiple Grands Prix in 2024, including the Hungarian and Azerbaijan Grands Prix. He does things in a racing car that make you stop and rewatch the footage. His manager, Mark Webber, a former Red Bull race winner himself, has guided his development from the very beginning, and that mentorship shows in the composure Piastri carries at race weekends. But here is the reality of 2026 for Oscar Piastri. He is at McLaren. McLaren uses a Mercedes customer power unit. They do not develop it. They do not control its evolution. In a season where the power unit is potentially the most decisive variable on the grid, being a customer, no matter how good your chassis is, introduces a dependency that could cost you races before you've even started them. His best years are ahead of him, but the title this season may belong to someone with a few more tools at their disposal. Number 5, George Russell. George Russell carries into this season arguably the most significant responsibility shift of any driver on this list. Lewis Hamilton left Mercedes after 2024. The team that won 8 consecutive Constructors' Championships between 2014 and 2021 is now entirely George Russell's team to lead. He said it himself, when Hamilton departed, this is now his team, and he is ready for that responsibility. And Mercedes absolutely cannot be written off in 2026. They are a works manufacturer. They understand power unit development better than almost anyone in the paddock. That near 50-50 electrical to combustion power split plays directly into Mercedes' historical strengths. They built the dominant hybrid architecture of the last decade. If their 2026 power unit is what it could be, Russell has the platform to win a championship. The reason he sits 5th is simple. Mercedes is rebuilding. 2025 was a transition year. The team is working with a new driver pairing after over a decade, with Hamilton anchoring their program. Russell is exceptional, but he has not yet led a championship challenge from the front. 2026 might be the year that changes, but there are 4 drivers ahead of him who carry more certainty going in. Number 4, Lewis Hamilton. In 2024, Lewis Hamilton announced he was leaving Mercedes for Ferrari. It was described almost universally as one of the biggest transfer stories in Formula One history. A 7-time world champion, 105 race wins, the all-time record, 104 pole positions, also the all-time record, going to Ferrari. The team that last won a Drivers' Championship in 2007, Hamilton has already won championships through multiple regulation changes. He was there in 2014 when the hybrid era began and Mercedes got it right. He was there in 2017 when the rules shifted again. His ability to read a new car, adapt quickly, and extract performance from an unfamiliar environment is a genuine, documented part of his career. At Ferrari, he has a works power unit. He has the full weight of Maranello's resources behind him. 2026 is only his 2nd year at the team, which means the integration is done. He knows the engineers, the culture, the processes. If he is chasing an 8th world championship, a number that would surpass Michael Schumacher and make him the outright most decorated driver in the history of the sport, 2026 is the window. The reason Hamilton sits 4th rather than higher is this. He is 41 years old at the start of this season. That is not a disqualification, but it is a factor. And the man in the other Ferrari seat is equally as hungry, equally as fast, and has everything to prove. Number 3, Charles Leclerc. For Charles Leclerc, 2026 may be the most important season of his career. He has been at Ferrari since 2019. He drove one of the great individual seasons of recent memory in 2022. 3 wins, multiple dominant qualifying performances, genuine championship pace, only to watch it slip away through strategic errors and mechanical failures that had nothing to do with his driving. Leclerc is considered among the very best one-lap qualifying drivers on the entire grid. That is not opinion, his record across multiple seasons supports it. He won his home race at Monaco in 2024, a win that meant everything to the Monegasque driver and to Ferrari. And now he is being tested in a way he never has been before, sharing a garage with a 7-time world champion who came to Ferrari to win. That internal dynamic is one of the most compelling storylines of the entire season. History tells us that when two elite number one drivers share a team, it either accelerates both of them to greatness or it tears the team apart. Ferrari's works power unit means the machinery is there. The regulation reset gives Leclerc a genuine opportunity to establish himself as the undisputed leader of this project, before this era becomes defined by someone else. He has the speed, he has the team, and to be honest, I hope Ferrari delivers an absolute unit of a car so Leclerc can show everyone what he's capable of. 2026 is the moment. Number 2, Lando Norris. If you watch 2024, you know what Lando Norris is capable of. He finished runner-up in the Drivers' Championship. He won multiple races. He pushed a 4-time world champion harder than anyone had in years. And while he was doing all of that, his team won the Constructors' Championship, McLaren's first since 1998. A 26-year wait. Norris is going into 2026, right in the middle of what should be the peak years of a Formula One driver's career. McLaren's chassis department is, by any reasonable measure, the strongest in the paddock right now. The rate at which they developed their car through 2023 and 2024 was extraordinary. They turned a midfield car into a championship winner through sheer technical execution. Norris himself has spoken about learning from the 2025 title fight, about the mental and strategic maturity that comes from running at the front of a championship for a full season. He is not the same driver he was 3 years ago. The customer Mercedes power unit is the one question that keeps him from the top spot. McLaren do not control that development. But if that unit performs, and Mercedes has every incentive to make it perform, Lando Norris is the single most dangerous driver in the 2026 field. Number 1, Max Verstappen. 4 consecutive world championships, 2021 to 2024. In 2023 alone, he won 19 out of 22 races, the most dominant single season in the history of Formula One. The man is, by any statistical measure, the best driver on the grid and one of the greatest to ever do it. Verstappen carries into 2026 something. None of the other drivers have the psychological weight of sustained dominance. He knows how to win championships. He knows how to manage pressure. He knows how to make a car do things in the rain, in the fight, late in a stint that most drivers simply cannot replicate. That knowledge is irreplaceable. So why isn't the conversation completely over? Because of the power unit. Red Bull Powertrains, developed in partnership with Ford, is Red Bull's first ever self-built Formula One power unit. It is based in Milton Keynes. It employs former Honda engineers, and it is, by every credible report heading into 2026, the most significant unknown on the grid. Red Bull, as a chassis team, is proven. Red Bull as a power unit manufacturer is not. In a season defined by power unit performance, that is not a small question, it is the question. If that power unit works, if Red Bull Powertrains delivers competitive, reliable power on par with Mercedes and Ferrari, then Verstappen wins the championship. It is that straightforward. No other driver on this list has his combination of pure skill, competitive intelligence, and experience at the front. Number 1 with an asterisk, and that asterisk is in Milton Keynes. Now, Fernando Alonso, he is not on this list, and I want to be honest about why, because Alonso deserves an honest conversation. Fernando Alonso is 44 years old, a 2-time world champion from 2005 and 2006, and genuinely one of the greatest drivers in the history of this sport. In 2023, he dragged Aston Martin to 8 podiums through sheer force of will and experience. The narrative around him winning a 3rd title at 44 would be one of the greatest stories the sport has ever told. But then 2024 happened and Aston Martin's performance collapsed. The team admitted correlation issues between their simulator and the actual car. Key personnel departed and everyone pointed to 2026 as the reset, the new regulations, a works Honda power unit, and the arrival of legendary designer Adrian Newey as the reason to believe again. Then Bahrain testing happened, and it was a disaster. Honda confirmed battery-related issues that stopped Alonso on track during the penultimate day of testing. On the final day, the team was limited to just 6 laps before packing up and going home early. Alonso himself stayed measured, saying they are a little bit on the back foot and that they need to unlock more performance. But the numbers don't lie. 6 laps on the final day, and a power unit that Honda admits is not where it needs to be. Fernando Alonso is one of the greatest Formula One drivers who ever lived. He would be 44 years old, lifting that trophy. The story writes itself. It just isn't being written this year. Not with these circumstances, not with this car, not with this power unit. The conditions for a championship challenge simply do not exist right now, and that has nothing to do with the man in the cockpit. So that is the list. Verstappen at the top if the power unit delivers, Norris right behind him with the best chassis in the game, Leclerc and Hamilton at Ferrari with everything to fight for and everything to fight over. Russell at Mercedes ready to step into the spotlight, and Piastri at 6th biding his time, because his time is coming. A regulation reset of this magnitude with this many variables means the grid is closer together than it has been in years. One great power unit, one great chassis, one driver at the peak of their powers, that is all it takes. Who do you think wins it? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more Formula One analysis every week, subscribe, because this season we are going to be watching every single detail